Thank you for joining us today. My name is John Sluice. We're going to spend some time talking about cryptocurrency and some of the things that you might need to know yet this year, December 2021. Not going to go into big details on all these items, but things that you need to know yet this year. Well, cryptocurrency. It's something that you've probably heard in the media. You've been, dabbling, deciding whether you're going to do something with it or not. Maybe you're all in and you've got several transactions that you've done this year. Maybe you just heard about it and you're like, well, what is that thing? We're not going to spend a lot of time going into the theory of what cryptocurrency, what it is. There's a lot of videos out there. I'm not going to try to recreate that. But what I want to do is spend a few minutes here to talk about some of the tax implications on cryptocurrency. We've actually got a great article on this, so if you want to read through it, it's a little bit wordy, if you will, but I think it is something that would be worth you downloading and seeing. We'll put a link below for that. But I wanted to go through a few of the items specifically as it relates to taxes and year-end taxes. So cryptocurrency, from a tax point of view, where do I start, right? The first thing I want you to hear is that cryptocurrency isn't actually a currency. So if you think about this, every single day you're moving dollars. So you take a dollar bill, you buy a stick of gum, you transact, there's a transaction. You don't immediately have a taxable event there. Same thing, if I take a dollar and give you a dollar and you give me 4 quarters back, we just did an exchange, right? It's not a taxable event normally. I give you a dollar, you give me 4 quarters. That's different for cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency actually feels and is taxed more like stocks or bonds. It's technically a property, actually, is what it is. So if you're used to, you have a stock, you have Microsoft, Ford, GM, something along those lines, Amazon. Just like that, if you go to sell that, you recognize there's a taxable transaction. That's how you got to look at cryptocurrency. Think of it like an investment almost. But for those of you that are buying and selling every single day or converting and changing between ETH to Bitcoin to Dogecoin to others, you got to understand that every time you're doing that, there's a taxable transaction in place. Could be good, could be bad. But just like you probably don't day trade or you probably don't buy and sell stocks all the time, that's the thing about cryptocurrency. So if you bought it and held it, okay, there's not a huge amount of implication there. It's there. But if you're one that's going to be buying and selling or converting or trading or exchanging, those are things you got to think about because they have tax ramifications, both losses and gains. To further complicate that, let's go and continue to use the example of the stocks. Oftentimes investors rely on their brokerage firms to provide the statements. So they're tracking the cost that you have into it. So if you buy a stock, they know how much you bought it for. And then if there's a stock split or if there's a dividend that comes through, they're tracking those items. Well, one of the underlying premise of cryptocurrency is it doesn't have that tracking. Now, the IRS is actually trying to change that, and they've recently put some new potential reporting requirements that in the new tax proposals that are out there. But those aren't going to go in place for several years if they even do. But so for 2021, what you have to know is if you have transactions that occurred, the likelihood that your own wallet or the company that you're using isn't necessarily tracking the cost basis. Now, by definition, cryptocurrency, every single transaction is authenticized, and so therefore it is verifiable quite easily, but it is a labor of love. And so it's one that you probably don't want me to do. I mean, I certainly can, but billing at an hourly rate, you probably don't want me to do that. So you're probably going to need to either summarize your transaction that you've had or potentially utilize a third-party service that can pull that information in, but no, it's not by default. And again, if you bought one or two or three items, it's not that bad. But if you end up buying and selling, converting, shifting, changing, it becomes very complicated very quickly. And that brings me to my next thought and observation is that not every transaction is the same. So just like bonds and stocks that are giving off interest or dividends, the different things that come off of holding cryptocurrency has different transactions. Naturally, with cryptocurrency, they're using different words like staking or reinvesting or splitting or forking even, or just different transactions. But what's happening there is, if you think about it, is you have a gain on appreciation like stock, but you also are getting rewarded for holding the investment. Even more complicated would be if you're actually mining. I'm not going to go into the mining side of things. That's a whole nother topic. So I'm assuming you're not mining, but there is the potential for you to be staking, where you're getting paid a return on your investment. Just like a bond or a stock that gives you a dividend or a capital or an interest, the staking also is giving you a return, usually in its own cryptocurrency. And what becomes more complicated is that in and of itself is a separate transaction as well. So if you think about it, let's say you bought 5 Bitcoins, don't we wish, but let's say you bought 5 Bitcoins and you stake those, or ETH or something like that, and you stake them, and then you turn around and get a return. Well, that return is paid to you in Bitcoin. That return is ordinary income to you because it's a return just like interest. But now you get that bit, and let's say you transact that into Ethereum or something like that. That immediately becomes another taxable transaction again. And so it becomes very complicated very quickly. Please hear that I'm not trying to dissuade or to suggest that you should or shouldn't do Bitcoin or Ethereum or any type of cryptocurrency. All I'm talking about here is just know that there are tax consequences. And unlike some of the other investments that you may hold, it's not done automatically for you. So if you are utilizing these, it's something that you better be thinking about a whole lot sooner than later. One last thing to think about here as you look at some things before the end of the year is to actually think about foreign disclosure requirements. Now, I'm not going to get into the theory of where is cryptocurrency, because some would argue that it's nowhere, because by definition it's virtual, therefore it doesn't have a physical location and thus not subject to foreign disclosures. But then there are others that would tell you that it maybe would be required for foreign disclosures. What I need you to hear is that you need to be thinking about it and taking a position as to whether or not you're holding a foreign asset. So again, if you're in Coinbase or a US-based wallet, it may not be an issue. But if you've got your virtual coins held in a server in China or in Georgia or other countries, it's something you got to think about, right? It's not a foregone conclusion. Again, you'll probably know these ramifications if you're actually invested and you're listening this long into this video. But it's something that there's one that a lot of people don't think about, are the implications of foreign reporting. That doesn't necessarily mean taxes, but it does mean disclosures, and those get nasty if you don't do them. Now, there are some opportunities as well that I probably should have started the video out on this opportunity. One that you should think about before the end of the year. I just got done saying that there's a downside of that the currency is not treated as currency, it's treated like a stock. One of the upside is because of that, you can recognize capital losses. And there's even a little further of a loophole into this, which is the ability that cryptocurrency is not subjected to wash sales, because the IRS has said it's not a stock, it's actual a currency. So it's a unique little loophole in the middle. Now, they're likely going to be closing this loophole, but it's something you can be thinking about. So if you have lost positions currently in your crypto portfolio, think about whether or not you want to turn around and sell it and buy it right back. Usually that's limited. You end up in the exact same spot. But if you're in that position or you have a lost position, give me a call. I want to talk through it with you before the end of the year, because it's something that you may want to think about doing. Again, that's you recognizing a loss within a lost position on a cryptocurrency. There are other strategies that can be in play. It's certainly something that you probably don't want to be thinking about here right at the end of the year if you haven't thought about it already. But take this opportunity to think, okay, where is it that you want to do things before the end of the year? And also to prep for your year-end tax reporting. It is taxable. It is a tier 1 or a red flag, however you want to look at. The IRS has identified underreporting as cryptocurrency as the #1 thing that they are going to be looking at this year. So if you hold cryptocurrency, we need to be talking about that. You need to be thinking about it and hearing about it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making it this far into this video. I understand cryptocurrency is a little bit of an unusual topic, but it's something that if you are in cryptocurrency, you got to be aware there are tax ramifications. We need to be talking, and I would say talking sooner than later on this, so that you've got a good plan in place of what you're doing. Thanks for joining, and look forward to talking to you soon.